When you think about weird games, you probably look towards the Japanese exclusive titles like Super Galactic Hour for the PS2 or LSD Simulator for the PS1. Those are weird, yes, but there's some beauty behind that strangeness. One game that comes to mind often when I think about beauty and strangeness is the PS2 title Chulip. Released in October of 2002, Chulip suffered from poor sales and poor reviews for its lack of direction, its strange characters, and its overall quirkiness and strange tone. 5 years later, Chulip arrived in the United States to the same amount of fanfare. Since then, the game's director Yoshiro Kimura has worked on the No More Heroes franchise and also directed another game called Little King's Story, which eventually we will get to. Today, Unearthed Entertainment will go into what makes this such a unique game during the turning point of cartoon-like games into more gritty and realistic titles. This is the strange yet beautiful world of Chulip. The concept for Chulip was given shape after Kimura visited the West and saw couples kiss in public, a custom that the Japanese do not often partake in. The title, Chulip, comes from the onomatopoeia for the sound of a kiss in the English word lip, as well as the Japanese rendering for tulip. The development process took over 2.5 years, starting as Kimura and his team at Lovedelic, a now gone developer, finished their final game, LOL, Lack of Love, for the Sega Dreamcast. The production for Chulip began during the early days of the PS2. It was challenging and interesting at the same time to program a game for a new console, Kimura stated. We were definitely eager to see what we could do with it. The game released October 3rd, 2002, and the game received negative to poor reviews due to lack of direction, strange characters, and an overall outdated look. The publisher, Natsume, licensed the game for a projected release in 2004, but the size of localization and the overall busyness of Natsume led to the game being released one day before Valentine's Day in 2007, exclusively sold at GameStop stores. That usually seems to work. Right, Xenoblade? Reviews in the West were of average to negative scores. The lowest that was given was by Game Informer with a score of 3. Ben Reeves stated that it was one of the poorest games he ever had the privilege of playing. In January 2008, Game Informer rated Chulip as one of the worst games of 2007. It may be a strange and difficult title, but sometimes there is beauty behind strange things. That is what Ernie and I are here to talk about. The story of Chulip. Not quite Romeo and Juliet, but close enough. Chulip begins with you naming your character and the girl that you are trying to impress. There are no official names for either character, but the most common names used are Chu and Her. You meet under the Lover's Tree, a magical mystical tree that lovers kiss underneath, and kiss. But it was all a dream. Chu and his father arrive at their new house in Long Life Town. They're poor. You meet the locals, Michelle and Dr. Dandy, who talk about how poor you are. As you do. You then see Her. You try to kiss her, but she rejects you. Your father tells you that the best way to win her over is to give her a love letter using a love letter kit. You write a very poor, horribly written love letter. And now, you must head to the mailbox and deliver that letter. As you head to the mailbox, which is on the other side of town, you see a telephone pole man. I wish I had a better explanation for this, but I don't. It's a Japanese game banned by Japanese people. We do not have to understand them, we just allow them to go their own way. On your way to the train station, you overhear a conversation between her parents, Goro and Julie. Her mother, Julie, is very concerned that Her ran away, but her father is lazy and just rambles on about being an artist. Okay, you head to the mailbox and overhear another conversation, this time by the policeman and the train conductor, who are talking about a rock that has been placed on the train tracks, and they blame Chu for that. You drop your letter off and are told by the mailbox that your letter sucks. The mailbox also says that if you truly want to learn how to love, come to the manhole. Alright. You head back to the manhole cover, which is right near your house, and you head down. You then meet Michio Suzuki, an underground resident. He's a Mr. Saturn. He tells you once again that your letter sucked. The reason being, Chu didn't put his heart into it, thus making it bad. Mr. Suzuki then teaches you how to love. This is the main mechanic of the game. You start off with a small amount of hearts, and as you grow and kiss more people, the amount of hearts you have grows. The first character that you kiss is Onion Lady. You kiss her when she is in Viva. Viva being when she is happy. This is just the beginning. Now, Mr. Suzuki is a teacher in the underground as well as a telephone pole man, Mr. Yamada, who is mad because he didn't get his salary from the school. He takes Mr. Suzuki's love letter set as severance pay before rushing off, kicking the boulder that is blocking the train tracks away. Once you follow him, you then see the other teachers of the underground take different pieces of the love letter set, and you must go to each zone and get that part of the love letter set back. That's the story, basically. Oh boy. Characters and music. Ahead of its time. Whenever that was. Music is a make-or-break thing, especially in video games. If the gameplay is dull or uninteresting to the player, the soundtrack backing that gameplay needs to be more vibrant and fun. Chulip's OST is very much the opposite of the gameplay. Most of the music is a cappella, sung by Taniguchi, the composer, for each region in the game. Each region, as you go through the story, has a more jazz-like tone as Chu grows his heart. By the end of the game, you will be able to be a part of the music by how simple and repetitive it is, also due to its laid-back nature. The main theme, entitled Etude of Chu, is quite obviously trying to be similar to wedding music, with the bells and the overall melodic tone of the piece. The field music, Happy Shabby Life, has many different versions for each region, like the Street Pass theme on the 3DS. Although most songs have gibberish as their lyrics, one song in particular has actual lyrics. That song's title is the Male Widow Serenade. Many of the songs in the game are very short and thus makes the soundtrack a little bit repetitive. But as a hedgehog, I love it. Each song has its own atmosphere to it, and the composer, Hirofumi Taniguchi, was very meticulous when it came to the overall feel of the OST. The characters in the game were weird, the music must be weird to add to that appeal. Speaking of characters are also a huge thing in this game, as you must kiss all 50 residents. Your first official kiss in the game is Onion Lady, and you can kiss anyone else in any order you want. Some of my favorite characters are Leo, Zombie Mika, Agony Man, Boxman, and 20-year-old Guy. Yes, that last character is real. I had to make sure. I went through the wiki. Underground residents are pretty easy kisses with small things you have to do to kiss them. Normal residents, on the other hand, are a little bit more complicated. I'll give you an example. Miss Thick Glasses, an underground resident, all you have to do to kiss her is just wait for her to Viva, and you get a kiss. Simple as that. Now, for the policeman, you must get arrested to get a kiss. Now, how did you get arrested? Simple. Smoke in front of the policeman, show up nude in front of the policeman, show him that you stole something, and then he'll give you 3 marks on your paper and you go to jail. He'll kiss you when you go to jail, by the way. He's very happy. He's like, you kiss, aha. and he kisses you. I don't know. Now, how would you know this? Well, the only way that you would know these things is if you read the Chulip manual. And that brings me to the frustrations of Chulip. If this game released nowadays with some more direction and a little bit more polish, it would have been more of a strange indie title and would have gotten some love, but also would have gotten some hate for being difficult. The only way that you could figure things out is if you have the manual. And nowadays, getting a fully intact copy of Chulip can cost you anywhere from $80 to $150, depending on the seller. Now, you may be wondering why it's so expensive. A few reasons. Number 1, the game was a GameStop exclusive, making it pretty rare to come by. Right, Xenoblade? And it was released in early 2007, 2 years after the 7th console generation began. Number 2, niche Japanese titles were very hard to sell in the early 2000s due to many people not seeing the games as good or creative. Nowadays, your overall popularity is very prominent in video games and pop culture. Number 3, due to the time it was released and the publisher not really having that much faith in it, few physical copies were made. Mixed to poor reviews really didn't help either. These factors overall broke Chulip's heart as the game only sold an estimated 6,645 copies in its first week in Japan. Even while the game was released in America, the only other significant release on that same day was Ratchet & Clank Size Matters for the PS2. The following week, though, had games like Virtua Fighter 5 and Crackdown releasing. The legacy and future of Chulip. The game had the potential to be a bigger cult classic, but it just wasn't the best time. The next game Kimura developed, Little King's Story, received the same amount of attention, but not because the game was frustrating. It was something else. We'll talk about that game in a later episode. Kimura expressed interest in developing a Chulip 2 set in the United States with an African American or Asian protagonist, but that's all we know. The mystery is still out there. If you truly want to play Chulip, go ahead, but be warned. This game is not for the faint of heart. You will need patience and save like there's no tomorrow. If you die in the game, you go back to the last point you saved, and you could lose a lot of progress. In the description below will be a link to the PSN store where you can purchase Chulip. This is for the PS3. Be warned. If you truly want to go all the way, you can find a PS2 copy somewhere on the internet. Just be sure that it has the manual. If you don't have the patience or money for either option, a link will go to Steven Plays, where Steven and his wife Mallory play through Chulip. And with that, Chulip has been unearthed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.